Thank you for joining me. Today, I want to talk to you about the importance of talking about grief. In some families, when someone passes, there's this reluctance to talk about it. There's this fear of bringing the name up because bringing the name up, bringing the loss up, brings too much pain. But there's also a danger in not talking about someone that you've lost, someone that you loved that's no longer here. And that danger is that everyone else is left with this pain. There is this pain that turns into anxiety in the room. There's this tension, there's this heaviness, but no one wants to acknowledge the pain, acknowledge the heaviness, acknowledge the anxiety. And that does not allow for healing to happen. When we are pretending like no one's hurting, pretending like everyone moved forward, with pretending as if this our loved one did not pass because we're not mentioning their name, because we're not talking about it, allows for the pain to continue. And when that pain continues over time, the body wants to figure out, how do I deal with this? And we become numb, we become emotionally detached because we're trying to function in our daily living and also deal with this pain. So there's a lot of continued hurt and pain that happens when we don't talk about something that needs to be talked about. Not talking about it can rob your loved ones of the time that they need to cry. It can take away the opportunity to talk about the pain, about what happened, how it's being experienced by each and every one of the family members, and allowing for other family members to come in and to help the one that's hurting the most or hurting in a way that they need other people to come help pick them back up, to help encourage them. Talking about it allows you to know what's going on. It allows secrets to not continue. It allows love to be expressed. It allows those who are living to realize that if I'm missing from the family, I matter in this family. I have meaning in this family, that I'm going to be missed, that people care about me. There might have not been a lot of love exchanged until the person is gone. Everyone's saying how wonderful they were, how much they meant, or how much they wish they would have spent time with that person. And others are listening and saying, wait a minute, why don't we do that now? Why don't we do that for each other? Why don't, as a result of what's taking place, we start to value our relationships more? But if we're not talking about it, we can't make changes to improve the family, to improve the relationships, to improve the situation, so that something good, meaningful, and powerful comes out of the loss. If we're not talking about it, we're just allowing the pain to continue. And some of the reasons we don't talk about it because we're afraid. We're afraid that if I talk about it, I'm going to hurt more. I'm going to feel it again. If I talk about it, what am I going to do with all this emotion that's up out in the open? How do I bring it back down so I can function? But you talk about it in small ways. You talk about it with each other in a room where there's safety, where there's understanding, where there's love, so that each person can support each other through that process. We don't want the questions to linger, but the only way you're going to know the questions are there is to talk. We don't want myths and thoughts to exist that can be dispelled if everyone's talking and saying, oh no, this is not how it happened. Oh, by the way, this person told me this before they passed, and they want you to know how much they loved you. They want you to know how much they care about you. But they're not going to get a chance to hear that if we're not talking about the loss. And if we're not talking about the loss, there are two possible beliefs that can exist. There's the belief that if we don't talk, we won't hurt. That's why we're not going to talk about it, because we don't want to feel the pain. The other belief is that if I don't talk about it, maybe I won't have to feel like this person has passed. Maybe I can hold on to the feeling that they're alive, they're just somewhere, they're on vacation, they're on a trip, right? They're just in their house in another state and I just can't see them. And those are not two things that you want to continue to exist. You want to be able to talk about it so you can begin to heal from the hurt that already exists. Not talking about it doesn't mean that the hurt is not there. It's there. But you want to talk about it so you can heal from it, right? You want to talk about the person because you want to recognize the loss, but you also want to remember everything that was good, that was healthy, that was beautiful, that the legacy that you want to continue. That is why you want to talk about it. And when you start to talk about it, questions surface that the family can come around and help to answer for each other. One of the things that happens in the grieving process is you're trying to make meaning of it. What does this mean to not have my mother, or my brother, or my sister, or my husband, my wife? What does that mean to now live this life without this person that I had plans with, that I had hopes for, that I had things I wanted to do with them, a vision that I needed them for? They took care of this, they took care of that. I don't have that person anymore. So there's all these unanswered questions, and there's a search for meaning that together we can find if we are willing to talk it through. So when you have a family or the loss of a loved one and no one's talking about it, that is doing more hurt than it's helping. It's continuing the pain rather than allowing for the pain to be recognized and allowing for healing to happen and for comfort from one another to take place. That's why it's important to talk about it. And if you're in a family that's not talking about it, to find a safe way to begin to say, let us talk about this person that we loved. We cried when we heard the news. Let us cry together. Let us plan together. Let us work together. Let us find comfort together by talking with each other about our loved ones. These conversations can be healing. These conversations can be transforming. And these conversations are so needed. So it's important that if you're going through the grieving process, to talk about it with your loved ones and to talk about it with a trained professional if you're having difficulty in that time. But most of all, to speak the name of your loved one, to allow them to continue in your heart, in your mind, in your life, to allow your life to take on new meaning with the loss, not without the loss, with the loss. To allow yourself to remember them, to recover from the loss, and to recreate the life that you want, with them being a part of it. Thank you for joining me. My name is Gessy Martinez, author, therapist, and coach, here to help you remember, recover, and recreate your life while you go through the grieving process. Until next time.